In late February 2026, the United States and Israel launched Operations Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. The Kinetic strikes systematically leveled physical communications infrastructure. A coordinated cyber counteroffensive materialized, striking Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. This line graph tracks the resulting inverse relationship between bandwidth and aggression. While strikes choked Iran's domestic connectivity to 1%, global attacks from Iranian-aligned groups spiked 245%. The bombings eliminated the senior cyber commanders within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Ministry of Intelligence and Security in Tehran. These strikes forced surviving cyber cells operating outside the country into a state of tactical autonomy. Cut off from their centralized chain of command, these decentralized units began selecting their own targets without bureaucratic oversight. To bridge these isolated cells, actors established the Electronic Operations Room. This digital hub began coordinating resources, zero-day exploits, and malware kits among more than 60 disparate state-backed and proxy hacktivist groups. Without the restraint of long-term espionage mandates, the operational priority shifted toward immediate, high-impact sabotage. These groups prioritized data destruction and visible service disruption over stealthy intelligence gathering. Kinetic strikes against physical servers and leadership caused the Iranian cyber apparatus to mutate. The resulting network is faster, more volatile, and functions as an entirely asymmetric offensive system. On March 27, 2026, Handala, a persona linked to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, announced a breach of FBI Director Kash Patel's personal Gmail account. The breach relied on credential exposure rather than a sophisticated zero-day exploit. Passwords associated with the director's email address had already been compromised in older, unrelated data breaches and were circulating on dark web markets. This timeline tracks the life cycle of the data. Iranian operators had acquired these credentials in late 2024, holding the access in reserve for nearly 2 years, waiting for a strategic window. They released over 300 personal emails and photos at the peak of regional tensions. This calculated cognitive warfare sought to embarrass the federal government and erode public confidence in U.S. national security leadership. Other Iranian threat groups are scaling this psychological targeting using artificial intelligence. An actor tracked as Red Kitten built an infrastructure to automate this profiling. Red Kitten operators use large language models to ingest vast amounts of open-source intelligence. The system processes social media activity, public records, and professional networks to generate hyper-personalized spearphishing lures at machine speed. This AI infrastructure also supports domestic psychological operations, including disinformation campaigns designed to target the American public with promises of a perfect 800 credit score. These campaigns weaponize economic anxieties. By using AI to automate the creation of realistic financial content and debt relief promises, operators manipulate public sentiment while harvesting personal data from citizens. Artificial intelligence has transformed state-sponsored espionage into automated cognitive warfare, allowing these actors to apply sustained psychological pressure directly onto civilian populations. In mid-March 2026, Handala claimed responsibility for a mass wiper attack against Stryker, a Michigan-based medical technology corporation. The operation erased data across more than 200,000 laptops, servers, and mobile devices globally. Handala achieved this mass data destruction without deploying a single piece of traditional malware or ransomware. This network architecture model illustrates the failure of traditional perimeters. Standard security systems are configured to detect and block external, recognizable malware payloads. Instead of pushing malware in, attackers used an adversary-in-the-middle technique to intercept the login process, hijacking an authentication token from a highly privileged administrative account. The attackers then abused Microsoft Intune, the company's own endpoint management tool. Since it's designed to manage devices remotely, they simply issued authorized remote wipe commands to tens of thousands of connected machines. The impact was immediate. Emergency procedures were activated at the Michigan headquarters, and hospitals were forced to postpone critical surgeries because they could no longer track or order necessary medical implants. Leveraging administrative services ensures rapid data destruction while avoiding detection. Because commands originate from a trusted internal tool, standard heuristic security alerts are never triggered. Weaponizing a target's own IT management infrastructure against them represents a major evolution in cyber warfare. It demonstrates that proxy groups can achieve kinetic-level operational disruption without custom malicious code. Iranian actors also pivoted toward local governments and municipal water authorities in Indiana and Pennsylvania, treating these smaller utilities as accessible targets for disruption. The IRGC-aligned group Cyber Avengers spearheaded this effort, focusing specifically on industrial control systems that manage physical public utilities. The primary hardware vector is the programmable logic controller. These small computers physically control the pumps, valves, and mechanical processes within a water treatment plant. This schematic shows a poorly configured ICS environment. Attackers run automated scripts across the public internet to identify specific PLCs that have been left directly exposed to external networks. These attacks rely on a fundamental operational flaw. Attackers simply log in using the factory default manufacturer credentials that local administrators failed to update during installation. Disabling a local utility creates immediate cascading effects. A compromised water authority degrades operations for regional supply chains, local hospitals, and surrounding emergency services. Compromising a small-town water utility is a low-sophistication operation, but it serves as a high-visibility capability demonstration. It proves the adversary can directly interfere with the physical, daily lives of American citizens. Inside the electronic operations room, state-sponsored APTs, patriotic activists, and designated terrorist organizations share resources and intelligence within a unified digital hub. In March 2026, Al-Qaeda's cyber jihad movement issued a communiqué announcing its integration into the Iranian wartime cyber apparatus, pledging support against shared adversaries. The strategic goal is attribution pollution. This topological map shows distinct threat actors, from IRGC units to Al-Qaeda operatives, funneling traffic through shared VPN endpoints. Cohabitating this infrastructure generates identical digital fingerprints, obscuring origins, providing plausible deniability, and complicating military retaliation. Surviving APT cells are in a calculated wait and watch mode. They quietly maintain passive, pre-positioned footholds inside critical networks, rather than launching new attacks. This predictive timeline outlines expected escalation. Over the next 3 months, organizations must prepare for the activation of pre-positioned wiper payloads and aggressive probing. By month 9, data projects a full reassertion of state capabilities, with reconstructed command infrastructure launching complex espionage campaigns. For network defenders, the directive is immediate. Organizations must audit all internet-facing PLCs, secure vulnerable VPN gateways, and enforce strict zero-trust perimeters today. Iranian actors are using this operational silence as a staging period. Surviving this architecture of attrition requires assuming your network is already compromised.